Let's just say that, because once you've been a secondary more than once, then you're like, I don't want to do it again. Because like,
Take a sip, girl.
hi everyone, it's Henrietta and Heather, and welcome to a Millennial podcast where we dive deep into the life of our 30s.
We'll discuss our struggles, dreams, relationships, icks, and anything millennials can relate to. Sit back, relax, and let's head on this journey together. We are 30s Unfiltered. Hey guys, welcome back to 30s Unfiltered. My name is Heather, and I'm joined with my beautiful co-host, Henrietta. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about what life is like as a foreign student in the US.
That's right, because as some of you may know, I was a student in the US for many years. And so I'm going to be sharing some of my struggles, crazy stories, and Heather will be sharing her American perspective, asking me questions about things that you might be wondering. So grab your drink and come along on this journey.
Cheers!
Cheers.
Okay, so why did you decide to come to the US in the first place?
So actually, it was kind of random what happened. When you have those college fairs in your high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we had one of those, and there was a program that was called Gateway College that did 4 months, like one semester, all over the world. And I wanted to do fashion when I was younger, when I was in high school, because I was obsessed with Gossip Girl. And there was a program, fashion management in New York. So I was like, oh my God, Gossip Girl life, sign me up. So then I did. So I did that for a semester after high school. And when I lived in New York, I loved it, fell in love. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I can see myself living here. And then I came back, and then I actually was looking up different colleges for fashion, kind of also in London, but like mainly in the US. And so FIT and FITM came up, and I accidentally clicked like on the college info on FITM's website. When I did, I literally got the application pack with the catalog home. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I don't know if I need this, but I literally, after I did that before I went to New York, because I was looking just to be like prepared. When I came back from New York, I was like, done. I'm applying. So then I just applied because I already had the application, and then I sent it. A few months later, got accepted. So I was like, I guess I'm moving to LA. And then I kind of never looked back.
Like, what were the stereotypes or expectations that you had about going to an American college?
I think I knew that my college wasn't a typical college. Like, I knew that we didn't have sororities and we didn't have all this stuff because it's a private, more like designer school, and it wasn't into like that Greek life and all this stuff. Like, and I knew that going into it. And I think coming from Norway, having that like party experience in high school, I didn't want that, because I think a lot of foreign people who want to go to school in the US, maybe that's what they're looking forward to the most. And that wasn't what I was looking forward to the most at all. I just wanted to move there, like, and live a normal life.
So, getting into it, like, what was the visa situation like? Like, the immigration process? Like,
Mhm.
what was the most challenging, part about that you didn't expect, and that maybe you have any tips that you can share with people that you wish you had known before?
Mhm. I was lucky because um when I went to New York prior, like that was the year before, I I mean, I didn't have to deal with any of that stuff then. So um when I was going to FITM, I had to do it all myself. Well, they do help you, because there are student advisors, and then, for international students, for first-time students, and then for just domestic and for out-of-state students. Like, they have all of that. And so they were very hands-on with saying what you need. And then they also have advisors specifically for like the visa situation. So like my advisor for that,
Yeah.
he worked at FITM for all of the years that I was there, except for my last year when I did my master's. Love him. He was so good at his job. He was so meticulous, so organized, and like he just was on top of his shit. And that made my process all that much easier because he was just like, boom, 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 like do this, you do this, whatever. And so I think that is a big thing for students starting the process. If your college has a good advisor for international students and specifically was starting their process or not. So like it was pretty seamless because I had Ben. What I didn't know actually is that if you apply for the same exact visa with the same exact university more than once, you don't even have to go into interview, which on my second time I did this, I went in to interview in the embassy. And I will say it is such a like grueling like feel it can be a really like scary experience because you just never know what they're going to ask. You don't know it, like, and if you've ever gone to like immigration in the US just visiting, you know that the TSA agents, like, they're not there to play. Like you cannot crack a joke at them because they will be like send you to like a second room. So, and sometimes they do that too in the embassy when you're being interviewed. It's just like it just doesn't feel good when they try to like get you to confess to something you haven't even done. You're not even trying to do something illegal, but they make you feel like you're doing something illegal. It's
Mm-hmm.
really because that's exactly how I've felt certain times. Not the first few times, but I feel like the more like I went back, I felt like they were questioning me more. I think I don't know, maybe that's just how they're taught to do it, but it made me feel like I did something wrong.
So during your application process, were there any unexpected obstacles? Like, did you have to go and it sounds like you did have to, you were pulled aside from TSA. Like, were there any, what were the obstacles that you had to face?
So that happened the third time. So many times. The third time I came back to get my master's. And I think that was because I probably was have been flagged on one time that I went from, I think, I'm just guessing because I don't know, that I went from Mexico to Houston at a layover. And apparently everyone coming in from Mexico to Houston, they're like, like what are you doing here? So I'm wondering if like that has something to do with it because every time since then, and I've come to the US, they pulled me aside to secondary immigration every single time. I wasn't on my student visa at the time. So I was so scared that something was going to happen when I came back on like a new visa again, but like the third time, And they did pull me, but then the only thing that they said was I had on my I-20, which is the paperwork that you get alongside with your visa in your passport. Because if you just have your stamp in the passport without your document, it's not valid. So you have to travel with your I-20 is what it's called.
Mm,
And it's that is provided from your school, but like because it's far away, you obviously have to print it out at home and you have to sign it and everything.
right.
He said the ink on your signature is the wrong color. It has to be in color, not in black and white. So I'm
What
like, well, blue. It just has to be in color. It can't be in black, essentially. So I'm like, you pull me aside for that. And my advice and Ben said, like, I don't think that was the case, but okay. Like they can literally pull you aside for anything and they'll do it just to kind of like scare you. Or if you are flagged, they'll do it just because like they have to. But that was the I sat there for 4 hours. And while because like often when there's a student, they don't prioritize a student and there are a bunch of other people that they need to like frisk in
Mhm.
secondary. I've been to secondary so many times and it is terrifying. But if you are there on a student visa, you have everything you need. I mean, there's no reason for you to be scared. Like you're gonna be nervous because it is, but like I've been there and yeah, it is scary.
PTSD, girl.
See, I do have
I can hear it in
bad.
your voice.
I do, I do have PTSD from it because it's yeah, been through the ringer. Let's just say that because once you've been a secondary more than once, then you're like, I don't want to do it again because like
Take a sip, girl. Take
you're sitting there next to criminals that are like trying to smuggle shit in. Like you don't know, but you're like, I feel like I've done nothing wrong, but like, have I done something wrong? Like, I don't know.
Oh my
They
God.
make you question your life choices, I swear.
That's hilarious. It's hilarious, but it's not. So with yeah, with all the, visa talks, how
Hmm.
many times did you have to renew it? You've been here for how many years? Do you extend, renew? How many times have you had to go through this process? And what is the most challenging process through this whole entire situation?
So I have done the same process 3 times. And so when well, it was different the third time because then I learned that if you're applying for the same school, the same place, like same type of visa, you don't have to go in for an interview. You're almost automatically guaranteed unless something has happened, right? And so the third time it was a little bit different. So you go get whatever degree you apply for, right? And for the most part, you should get at least like a 5 year visa in your passport. But like I said before, if it's not with a valid I-20, which has the dates on the paper, then the passport and your or the visa on your passport is not valid. So my first one it was in 2012. I had a 5 year visa. So because I did go back for my bachelor's, but I waited. I went back home for about a year and a half. So I wasn't able to renew the one that I already had. Or like I could have just applied and used the same visa in my passport had it not would it not have expired by the time I was finished, right? So then because when you're done with your program in the US, you can apply for a visa afterwards that you can work on for a year called OPT. And so you will have the same visa in your passport. You'll need a new I-20 with a new date, like starting and finish date. But if you choose not to do OPT, you can't stay. So then you have to go back. If you choose to do OPT, it's for a year. And then after that, you can't renew your OPT unless you're doing STEM classes.
I think there's a lot of hurdles that, foreign people have to jump through in order to be here, which is, I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, it just sucks for the people that actually do want to thrive here in the States. So
Mhm.
are there any specific forms, fees, paperwork that were hard to understand or navigate? And are there any resources that you found helpful?
Again, for me, because I had wonderful advisors, nothing was kind of difficult. I will say one thing that is important to keep in mind for those who maybe don't have like super wealthy parents, because going to FITM, if you don't know the school, well, first of all, it's a private college. And it's a fashion school. So a lot of students there were very into fashion, had all designer clothing, and were very rich. Let's just say that. So like it was never an issue for them to get a visa because you have to show as a foreign student that you can support yourself for the however many years you're going to be a student. So you have to show that you or your family has funding to support you for the time you're a student, because US government doesn't they don't want to be liable to have to like pay for you in any way. So you have to prove that you have the money to pay for tuition plus the first year of living. And so it depends on the school because obviously tuition is different from university to university. Um, but they're going to tell you how much you need to show proof of funding uh, to apply for a visa.
Yeah.
And that is challenging. If you don't have the funds, you have to like collect your funds. Like that's how me and my parents did it because, sometimes it's hard out there. But and also if you do have government support from your home country, that also like you have to prove that you're going to get the funding because maybe you have a monthly stipend or something else. So you have to give them the contract, but you have to get it translated into English so that they know you're getting the money and how much and how the when you're getting the money in and how much it is total and all. So it's a lot.
It's all about the money, honey.
Always. It's America. Yeah.
So wait, so did you get funding from Norway? Did the government support you?
Mhm. So we have a very, very well system, like education system here, and they also support you if you want to, like, if you want to study abroad. And
Mm.
so you basically apply for a student loan and a stipend whenever, like even before, well, I guess you can't do, no, you don't do it before you get accepted, but you will know whether your school or not is qualified by the loan fund. And so FITM was, and I was like, okay, cool. Um, so yeah, for me, like I got at least all of tuition covered because there is a maximum amount that you can get. And it didn't cover any of my living, but it covered tuition. But then I had to come up with I also had to show that I could, pay for living for a year, which I think, what did they
What does
say?
that number look like?
That's what I was trying to figure out. I think you have to show at least 20K per year or like for 1 year. So then 20K plus like your tuition, which could be like 70,000, which who has that type of money in your bank account like right now? Not
Yeah,
a lot of people,
not a lot of people.
you
That's why
know?
a lot of people don't come and go to school
Yeah,
here. But I love
exactly.
that, your government pays for the tuition and covers all
Mhm.
of that,
Yeah.
just so it is possible for you to go study abroad. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what's the process like? I don't know, do you get a social security number like in order to get a job, or does that coincide with your visa and like when you open bank accounts and stuff?
Hmm.
What does that look
Yes,
like?
it's honestly scary how easy it is for anyone to get a bank account or to get a credit card or a bank account or anything like in the US. It's so easy, which is why a lot of people are in debt and a lot of people have to file for bankruptcy. Like it's not that easy to apply for a bank account or like a credit card in Norway. And I mean, it is kind of alarming.
Okay, and like, so what about the whole social security number?
So I got that in 2016 when I went back for my bachelor's because I started working on campus. So each college is different in that regards. At FITM, I mean, I can't speak to other colleges, of course, but at FITM, international students were only allowed to work at the museum shop and at the scholarship store, which was because it's a fashion school. A lot of local brands would donate clothes and accessories to this store and they would sell it at a discounted price to the students and also just people on the street. That sounded bad. Not like homeless people, but like
Mhm.
anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I worked at the museum shop and with um everyone else, well, except for I think two people were like domestic students, but for the most part we were all international. And that, I mean, it's a great place to meet people. Like that's one of the reasons why I have so many friends from all over the world. I mean, at FITM, because there are were a lot of foreign students. So but when you do work on campus, you need a social security number. So they took care of all that for me. I had to go get a drug test. So they took a piece of my hair and then I had to go into the social security office in Hollywood. It was so easy. It was literally one of the easiest things I've done when it comes to like the government in the US.
Oh my God.
Because I will say, without a social security number, it is almost impossible to get a like to pay your electric bill, pay any bills, like pay your phone bill. When I first, because I bought a phone in LA in 2012, but to in order to pay my phone bill, I had to make up a social security, like the last four digits of a social security number. They could not fathom that I wasn't born in the US and have to pay my fucking bill. Fucking
I
annoying.
wanted I'm curious, like as far as like healthcare wise,
Mhm.
like I know that healthcare is different over there in Norway, but what was it like here? Did you have coverage? Did your visa like affect your ability to access healthcare? Like what was it like? Did you even go to the doctor while you were here?
I did. I've gone to the doctor once and then I tried to go to urgent care another time. Um, the first time, well, because the best thing is for you to have student insurance. Like, and I'm sure from country to country it differs, but that's what I had. I just had, you could, I mean, travel insurance or student insurance, whatever. I think maybe they're kind of the same. Um, and but the only thing is that if you go to a medical office or whatever it is, they're not going to accept your insurance card, most likely. And so you're just going to have to pay out of pocket, and then your insurance company will then pay you back when you give them the receipts and everything. So I went to urgent care and I just said, this is what's happening. How much approximately do you think it's going to cost for me to go to the doctor here? And she goes, could be anywhere from 20 to $2,000. What?
Does that
Like,
that doesn't surprise me.
I'm like, okay, bye. Thank you, but
Yeah.
no, thank you. Are you kidding? So I didn't go because I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like I didn't have the money. I didn't have $2,000 right then and there to pay for like what for them to say, it's probably nothing, just take some Benadryl. Like
Right.
no.
So what'd you end up doing?
I think I consulted with my own doctor. I emailed him and
Okay.
sent photos, and I think
Your
he,
doctor in Norway.
yeah. So I think he just said, I can't remember, but I mean, it went away. But that is one thing that you should check up on before moving to ask your doctor, like, okay, I'm moving, but like I would like to still, be in contact with you. Like, can I email you, send you pictures if anything were to happen? Because I've done that like many times. Yeah.
So, did you have a car? Were you driving from place to place? I know when I
Mhm.
met you, you had a car, but did you have a car? Did you always have a car, or were you like walking to class? No, you weren't walking to class. That's far, Hollywood to Fidham.
So when I first moved, I remember I had just come from New York. So I was used to taking the subway. I'm used to public transportation, just being from Norway and Europe. So I was like, that's like it's easy. And also the red line goes from Hollywood to downtown and it's super easy, it's affordable. So I did that for a little bit, but
It's so scary.
it's so sketchy, dude. I was followed home, okay? Multiple times.
Hell no.
I bought my friend's car, I got my California license. Like there is so much more that goes into being a foreign student and how to navigate and the struggles. Like there's like you're far away fall, you're far away from home and it's a different culture. I mean, for me, I never sought out Scandinavians. At first, like I had, a few Scandinavian friends just because I wanted to like see if they could help in certain things, but I never wanted to only be around people of like my own kind. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's just so much more um
Right.
to talk
Yeah,
about.
definitely. We're gonna have to talk about your social life and how you integrated yourself into America and how you made friends. Definitely talk about homesickness. I think that's huge. How do you stay connected to your family while you're in America? And then
The time
obviously,
difference.
right, and life after graduating. Like you
Mhm.
went to school here for so many years, and then now you're back in Norway. And then the whole visa situation at that point.
Yeah.
There's just so much to it. So,
Working in the States, because I have had many jobs also, like after, and
mhm.
also while in school, which I will talk more about because you can also work off, like outside of campus when you're in school, but I didn't even get to that part. So much.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you for tuning into 30s Unfiltered. We hope today's episode gave you some insights about what it's really like to be a foreign student in the US. It's an experience that comes with a lot of challenges, but also so much growth.
If you have your own stories about studying abroad or questions about life overseas, drop us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with anyone who's ever thought about studying abroad. We'll see you in part 2.
Okay, see you in part 2. Hey, thanks for listening. We hope you got some takeaways from today's episode.
You can also follow us on Instagram and YouTube at 30s Unfiltered or email us at 30sunfiltered@gmail.com.
Please leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to our channels. See you next time.